The Monster Below by Greenback, read by Deathlight, Chapter 24, A Life for a Dream. It's a risk bringing him here. Did you hear what I said? Once we're done, he'll be as helpless as a kitten, and you can parade him around in a cage or whatever you want. Those voices, the first I didn't recognize, but there's no mistaking that Mangus is the second. The chief wants him in a cell now. We've had pretty much the entire force after him, and he needs to be locked up, not brought to a lab. I kept my eyes shut, pretending to be unconscious. A difficult task, because it felt like a harpoon went into the base of my neck. But it's not the pain that's the worst part. It's realizing that I'm strapped down to a gurney, being wheeled about. The air is thick, with the smell of anesthesia and sterilizing fluid. I am almost certainly a Medicom surgery center, and there's only one reason I'd be brought here. How do you think Silverspeak would react if he woke up inside a cell? That's the CEO. He'd be like a wild animal, lashing out at everyone who came close. Except in this case, he'd be a wild animal with magic, and no idea how to properly use it. He's right. That's Beatbreaker. She sounds resigned. And how do you figure that? The officer asks. Silverspeak believes that his life revolves around those wings and the horn. And for all intents and purposes, he'd rather die than to be without them. If he was in a cell and believed that they were going to be taken away from him. Are you saying he'd try to kill us? Yeah, he would. Mangus says, I saw him. He attacked his own parents for crying out loud. If you've gone that far, there's only one step after that. The granny shudders, as if it hits something. I hear two doors opening. Then make sure you can't do that. The officer says, the public's clamoring to see him behind bars. Even with my eyes closed, I can sense the grin on Mangus's face. Believe me, they're not the only ones. It occurs to me that this is like some big cosmic joke. First I get the wings, then I lose them, then I get the horn and wings, and now I'm gonna lose those too. Is this my fate, to be locked in a cycle of gaining and losing them over and over? Not if I can help it. Snapping my eyes open, I hurl myself to the side. As I hope, the gurney goes with me, knocking everyone over. My horn glows before I even hit the ground, readying a shockwave to blast the others back and undo the straps around me. But Mangus is faster and hits me with a blast of his own. I shriek, almost pass out again. Crafty little devil, he was awake the whole time. He grabs my gurney and yanks it back up. I'll admit it, you're pretty convincing at pretending to be out, not that would have done you any good. He indicates me to look around. I did so. We're inside Medicom's main surgical auditorium, where I first got my wings. The normal surgical table is gone, replaced by the automated unit I used. But that's not what Mangus wants me to see. Stationed throughout the room were dozens of guards, all dressed in full combat gear. The horns pointed at me, ready to fire at a moment's notice. You try anything at all. And they'll blast you so hard, not even the doc here could put you back together. The officer impatiently glances at his watch. Let's get this over with, we're wasting enough time as it is. To the side, ponies dressed in surgical outfits. Beatbreaker wasn't among them. She's standing to the side, along with the CEO. Both watched me, and it was clear that they were not angry, sad, or indifferent. Instead, they only have pity, the kind of pity you save for someone who had so much potential, only to waste it all. One of the surgical ponies read the anesthesia. I have to buy myself some time. I've been brought here against my will. I demand to know why. Mangus groans. Oh, come on. Am I under arrest? The officer walks up. Yes, you are. I work to keep my breathing steady. What are the charges against me? The officer pulls out a scroll. Silverspeak, under the authority of the Manhattan Police Commission. You are charged with multiple accounts of assault, resisting arrest, theft of Medicom property, and harassment and assault of Medicom employees. Mangus whistles. Wow, pretty serious, huh? I don't know much about sentencing guidelines, but that's gotta be, what, 10, 20 years at least? I lost my composure, struggling against the straps. They strap down tight, and judging from the magic sparkling on the buckles, someone applied a spell to ensure that they wouldn't be undone by my magic. The officer takes a quick step back. I'm bringing the others in. No need, I got my best guards here, Mangus says. The officer glares at Mangus. I'm not gonna take any chances. The Mangus I know should boast about how his guards are the finest Manhattan has to offer, possibly even better than the city's own police force. Instead, he thinks for a moment, then shrugs. Even with far more important things in my mind, I briefly wondered why he didn't seem so upset. The officer opens the doors. 15 SWAT officers enter. Surrounding my gurney, horns at the ready. But those are intended to intimidate me. It's not necessary. Their skills do well enough, as these are the toughest officers the police department had to offer. Each is highly trained and well practiced in the use of offensive magic, called out for the most dire of situations. Alright, let's get going, the officer says. The pony with anesthesia looks to Beatbreaker, as do I. No words are passed between us, but I plead for her not to let them do this. She's my last chance. Beatbreaker watches me for a few moments, then turns to the surgical pony, then nods. No! The pony comes over to me, anesthesia mask held out. I struggle, fight to inch away from it, only to have one of the officers grab my gurney and hold it in place. No! The mask comes closer, and I know all too well what's coming next. Or at least, I think I do. Mangus watches the anesthesia pony as she reaches me. And as the mask is about to go on, he nods to his guards. It's probably a gloat, satisfaction at seeing his childhood punching bag fall so far. But it's not that at all, for the guards quickly turn away from me and fire at the officers. The room erupts with color and the sound of dozens of blasts being fired off at once. Spells shoot over me, knocking officers off their hooves. They all shout, caught off guard from this unexpected assault. They try to fight back, but start to fall, one by one. Then, Mangus joins the fray, firing blasts of his own. He knocks the surgical ponies out, including the one about to gas me. In seconds, all the officers are down, save for the one in charge. He stares at Mangus, unable to comprehend what was going on. Then, Mangus blasts him across the room, and he's knocked out cold. The CEO can scarcely believe what he just saw. Mangus, what are you? Mangus blasts his boss, the force smashing him into the wall. Beatbreaker cries out, scrambles away. Mangus turns to his guards, delighted at his handiwork. Alright boys, let's head out there and give the other SWAT officers a warm welcome. The guards storm out, locking the doors behind them. It isn't long before the sounds of battle can be heard. The CEO tries to stand and fails. Mangus, what? Nothing personal, boss. Mangus says cheerfully, as if this is all to get together for afternoon tea. I'm just fulfilling my dreams, much like Silverspeak here. The sudden assault has left me numb. But with the officers now unconscious or dead, I was aware that Mangus could do anything he wants to me without the law holding him in check. It would be a smart idea to remain still and not provoke him. The shots and sounds of combat beyond the door faded away. Satisfied, Mangus takes off his saddlebags and strolls over to my gurney. In fact, it's thanks to Silverspeak that I'm even here. And in my darkest hour, my life was falling apart. He was my angel. He showed me what I had to do to make my dream come true. What do you mean? I couldn't help myself. I had to find out what sort of twisted logic lay beyond that line of thinking. Mangus smirks. I had just flunked out of Candlelight University. I went there expecting to be welcomed as a king. The others in awe of how skilled and powerful I was. So imagine my surprise when they valued grades and books over talent. All those stupid classes about history and mathematics and theories. I was dead last, and some dweebs were at the top. I was the one with all the talent and power, but the professors admired them over me. He growls, grinding his hooves together. I finally quit. They were too proud and too arrogant, but what did they know? They were just jealous, that's what. They couldn't see greatness over 3 feet in front of them. I quietly strained my legs against the straps. So there it was, my dreams of being famous, of carrying out the proud unicorn bloodline was dashed. I couldn't go home because I was a failure, and I couldn't enroll again without lowering myself to their pathetic standards. I was forced to become a stupid security guard. I hit rock bottom, and then you came in. You tapped me on the stomach. When I got the job patrolling the library, I learned from the librarian that you were the one who tried to break in. Imagine that. It wasn't much, but I admit, the idea of turning you in gave me a purpose in life. After learning you had gone to Metacomp, I got some of my buddies and we staged a break-in. We weren't really gonna steal anything, it was so that Metacomp would panic and hire additional security. And they fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. The CEO raised his head, stunned. I got promoted and my group gets hired. Eventually the time comes to reveal your little secrets. But you screwed things up by getting those wings of yours. And I admit, after seeing them, I was thinking about getting a pair of my own. As you put it, what pony doesn't dream of being able to fly? But I decided to wait a year and see what you did with those wings. If they lasted that long, I'd spill the beans about what you did, you'd get arrested, and I'd have done society a great service, while also going after those wings for myself. But then something happened. I saw how far you were willing to go to get that horn, poisoning me and your own family, revealing that I've been manipulating the entire company to get what you want. That's pretty drastic. And then you inspired me, so to speak. I was head of security, but I wanted more. I wanted to show the snots of the university that they screwed up big time. I wanted to show everyone how powerful I really was. I was never going to get recognized from school or from my job. You saved me, so to speak. You gave me purpose in life to show everyone I was the greatest unicorn ever. What better way than to transform myself into someone on par with a princess? I stopped struggling, fearing on where this was going. After your wings fell out, I realized I couldn't count on Metacomp to perfect them. So, I had to get a pair of my own. I did what you couldn't, so to speak. I broke into the library and got into the forbidden section. He chuckles. All those scrolls and manuscripts, I didn't even know where to start. So, I took what I wanted and blasted the guards who tried to stop me. And I went through the books and lucked out. I found one that could help me get what I want. He leans in close. And I have to thank you for all this, so to speak. You made me realize that if I wanted anything in this world, I'd have to take it by any means necessary. There's a beat from Angus's radio. He brings it up. You got them? Yep, we're bringing it up to you now, boss. Mangus. The CEO groans. You'll pay for this. Mangus grins. Who's gonna stop me? You? The police? He chuckles. By this time tomorrow, now the entire Question Armed Forces will be able to stop me. The doors open and the guards enter, dragging crates that were all too familiar. Mangus eyes the crates, pleased. Perfect, let's get to work. Beatbreaker, who'd been hiding near the back of the room, speaks up for the first time. What are you doing? Beatbreaker, oh silly me, I forgot you were here. Not much, really, just ensuring my buddies get to share my dreams. The surgical unit whirs to life, and the guards open the crates. Attach a pair of wings to the arms. Make sure the anesthetic is topped off. And triple the steroid dose and the symbiotic fluid. Realizing what Mangus was doing, Beatbreaker shakes her head. It takes time for your body and muscles to bond. They're up off the first time you fly. Mangus considers Beatbreaker's points. She's right, boys. Make the steroid dose 5 times as strong. No, you can't. You'll kill yourself. Mangus chuckles. Whatever you say, Doc. Beatbreaker starts towards the machine, then stops as Mangus blocks her path. She and I are both helpless as Mangus's goons make final adjustments to the machine, then strap themselves in and have wings attached one after another. With each successful operation, they leap off, eager to test their new wings. They get the hang of flying faster than I did, and soon the room is full of guards hovering about. They all have the same glee I did, the joy of having the gift of flight. But there's a darkness in their smiles, a malice I never had. Mangus watches all the while, smiling at seeing his guards emerging from the machine as alicorns. In fact, he was so caught up in watching them, I could have easily blasted him with a stunning spell. The problem is, the moment I knocked him out, his guards would turn on me, and without their leader holding them back, they may very well kill me. When the last of the guards leap off, Mangus claps. Alright boys, I want you to go relieve the SWAT units, and then head to the roof and get some flying practice. What if the prince shows up? A guard asks. Mangus replies quickly. Make sure they can't call the cops, or anyone else. The guard grins, joins his fellows in marching out, so that just leaves me, Beatbreaker, the CEO, and Mangus. Mangus' horn glows, and before Beatbreaker realized what he was doing, Mangus grabs a tranquilizer dart from the shelves and jabs her in the neck. Not enough to knock her out, but she slumps to the floor, unable to stand. The sirens turn to the CEO, and then to me. I struggled, but couldn't do anything as it pierced my chest. The stinging is intense, but it fades as I join Beatbreaker in a stupor. Not tired enough to sleep, but not awake enough to do anything but lie there. There we go, Mangus says, tossing the syringe aside. No distractions, and no chance of being blasted in the back. Silently cursing myself, I try to summon up the strength to cast a stunning spell, but the tranquilizer is too strong. I'm like a stag who had too much to drink and can't even rouse himself from the floor, much less fight. And now that his opposition had been eliminated, Mangus takes off his tactical gear and tosses it aside. His eyes, the searcher unit like a worshipper standing before the altar of his god. Rummaging through the crates, he takes out a pair of blue wings, attaches them to the unit's arms before attaching himself to the operating table. As the machine powers up, Mangus gives me a smile. This is for you, Silverspeak. The anesthesia is injected, Mangus closes his eyes. I can only watch as the machine flips him over and starts to cut him open. Mangus keeps smiling, he's like a king at his coronation. Ecstatic as his brand new wings are attached. Syringes inject the muscles with steroids, making them grow before my eyes. I fight, trying to arouse my sluggish body. I have to stop him, I have to power down the machine before it's too late. But then the machine powers down, and the time for stopping Mangus has passed. With the final stitches and staples in place, the machine flips Mangus over and releases him. A bit wobbly, he takes off the machine, taking a few moments to orientate himself before looking at his wings. He's like me and his fellow guards, in awe of actually having the means to fly. He flaps his wings up and down several times, then spins, slicing them through the air like scissor blades. He grins, delighted. Celestia, help us. My childhood tormentor is now an alicorn. Grinning ear to ear, Mangus folds his wings and goes to his saddlebags. It's a great start, but if you truly want to become the best, wings alone won't get you there. He pulls an ancient book from his bags. The blue cover, faded and cracked. Tell me, Silverspeak, have you ever read about the Great Dragon and Pony War? Thousands died on both sides, but it's forgotten history to most ponies. But even if it wasn't, most wouldn't know ours had secret weapons. Spells their ancestors used when things were truly desperate. The book cracks as he opens it. This is from the library's forbidden section. It so happens to contain those spells, including one that can be only used once. During the battle that won the war, it transfers the magical essence from one pony to another, enhancing their powers. All you need is the right words, a piece of the pony sacrificing themselves to you, and boom. You're twice as powerful as you were before. The CEO groans, still trying to recover from Mangus' blast. Oh look, a volunteer. Mangus plants his hooves hard on the CEO's back. His horn comes to life, the blood-red glow enveloping the CEO's head, yanking it backwards. The CEO shouts in pain, and for a moment it looks like Mangus is going to tear the CEO's head off. But there's a crack at the base of his horn, and then the sound of tearing. The CEO thrashes, screaming as his horn is ripped from his skull. I squeeze my eyes shut, trying to hold down the bow of my throat. In order to help cast spells, unicorn horns are packed full of nerves. From what I've read, ripping a horn out is possibly the most painful thing that a unicorn can ever experience. The shock is so great that some never recover. Older ponies sometimes die from the shock and pain alone. Mangus rummages around his bag. Dreading at what I might see, I open my eyes and watch as he pulls out a small beaker. Step 1. Take the horn. Step 2. Take the blood. Mangus grabs the CEO, tilts his head so the blood spills into the beaker. When it's full, Mangus lets go, steps back, and puts the severed horn on the floor. Step 3. Absorb the pony's magical essence. Mangus tilts the beaker, pouring the blood over the horn, ignoring the CEO's whimpers. When the blood is poured out, Mangus reads the spell from his book. The words are harsh and guttural, scraping his vocal cords as he speaks. Nothing happens for several moments, and I use those moments to try to wiggle free. The works of the tranquilizer seems to be wearing off. But while my mind feels clear, my body is still sluggish. I can only hope that the spell that Mangus is using is obsolete, or maybe a fake, and that no library would dare store a spell so dangerous. Smoke rises from the blood. Beneath it, the horn begins to melt, reducing down into a thick, bubbling paste. Tossing the book aside, Mangus lowers his head and touches the horn to the liquid. And before my eyes, the liquid oozes upwards, enveloping Mangus's horn. Oh, Buck. It shouldn't be possible, but Mangus's horn is growing as the liquid is absorbed. Mangus sweats, gritting his teeth, then lets out a sigh as the last of the liquid vanishes. His horn is now a few millimeters longer than it had been only a few moments before. There's no doubt that the spell works. Reaching up, Mangus touches his horn and giggles. It actually worked. I'm gonna admit, I wasn't sure if it would or not. Without wasting any time, he turns, and my heart pounds. Is he coming for me next? No. He's looking around the room at the unconscious SWAT officers. My heart almost stops, as all of them have horns. The officers lucky enough to be unconscious didn't feel anything as Mangus ripped off their horns one by one. The smell of smoke and burning blood choked the air as he repeated the spell again and again, until his horns were a few 2 inches longer. I can only watch as Mangus gets one horn after another, and now I'm afraid of what he's going to do next. He isn't the type that goes around spreading love and joy to children, or make rainbows appear while magically conjuring cupcakes for everyone to enjoy. Soon, everyone's horn has been taken, except for one, my own. Grinning as if drunk, Mangus says, "Oh, Silverspeak, you have no idea how amazing this feels. The power, the strength, and it's just from a handful of ponies." He fires off a blast that easily tears through the reinforced walls, leaving a smoking hole behind. Imagine what it'd be like if I got the horns of 20 ponies, or 30. No, 100, 1,000. You're insane, I say, unable to stay silent. Mangus chuckles. Look who's talking. He strolls over, circling the gurney. But perhaps I don't need 1,000. He touches my horn. After all, why get the horns of commoners when I could get a horn of a king? I gulped. Oh, afraid of being a nobody again? I thought you'd be used to it by now. You were born a nobody, Silverspeak. But me, I was born for greatness. I'm gonna show everyone who the real star of Metacomp is. He leans in close. But before that can happen, they'll have to be shown the errors of their ways. They have to be punished for even daring to support you, rather than the purity of the unicorn bloodline. I know the movement behind Mangus. Beatbreaker was trying to get up, fighting the effects of the tranquilizer. I didn't know if zebras are inherently hardier than ponies, but she managed to stand. She wobbles, her coordination is rough, but she's able to grab a heavy jar, one that could crush bone if brought down hard enough. Keep my attention on Mangus, I match his gaze. Don't kid yourself, this isn't about them, it's about you. It's a risky approach, but I have to keep his focus on me. You're just angry, you want revenge. For what? for not getting what you want, for me getting all the attention while you be ignored. For a long moment, Mangus didn't speak, contemplating what I said. Then he chuckles. Oh, why bother denying it? You're right, they all need to be reminded what truly matters in life. Power, not stupid little letters on pieces of parchment. Besides, history remembers those who go out and take what's rightfully theirs, not those who got straight A's in scientific theory. Is that what your parents taught you? What everybody at school told you? They were setting you up, Mangus. I didn't know where this was going, but perhaps I could break through that massive ego. I turned on the charm. They were setting you up to fail. They filled your head with ideas. They were destined to be perfect without any effort on your part. But your life doesn't work that way. Nothing is handed to you. You have to work at it. Mangus says nothing, but I can tell he's listening. Beatbreaker struggles to stay silent as she creeps closer. Maybe if you went back to school with that mindset, you'd do so much better. You might even get top of the class if you applied yourself. Mangus considers what I said, and for a moment I wonder if it actually got through to him, but then he grins. Nice try, Silver Squeak, but your inspirational speech isn't gonna work on me. Dang it! Besides, we'll go back to that university and those stupid professors anyways. He fires off a magical blast, effortlessly destroying a massive chunk of the roof. Chairs, slabs of concrete, rebarb, and cabinets rain down from the higher levels. But he effortlessly stopped them, casting the rebel aside. Besides, this time tomorrow, I'll be stronger than I ever dreamed possible. Why waste years going through books and doing homework when I get what I always wanted, right here, right now? Rain falls down through the hole. Sweet Celestia, Mangus must have blasted several floors all the way up to the roof, and if I'm lucky, he might have knocked out some of his own guards. The princesses will stop you. If they were coming after me, they'll see how dangerous you are. You think you can take them on by yourself? No, at least not yet. Mangus smiles, tapping my horn, but I know what can even the odds. Beatbreaker gets close enough, veering back to smash the jar onto Mangus's head. Just one hit, and this madness can end. But her legs sway forward, Mangus spins and catches the jar in his magic. Oh, please, he says with a chuckle. You really thought I couldn't hear a doped up zebra trying to sneak up behind me? He hurls the jar into Beatbreaker's throat. She staggers back, wheezing for air. I struggle against my straps. No! Mangus turns, curious. Was that concern I just heard? But I thought he didn't care about Beatbreaker. She's just a tool, right? Something to be used and thrown away. I shook my head. No! Really? I have a recording that says otherwise. I know what I said! Then you were lying? Through her gasp, Beatbreaker turned to me, confused. Mangus eyes me, then Beatbreaker. A darkness seemed to enter his gaze. Silverspeak, have you ever heard about when things are at their worst, a pony finally reveals who they really are? Why don't we find out if that's true? Let's play a little game of truth and lies. He circles my gurney. You're pretty much screwed, and nothing you can do can change that. But what you can do is come clean. Is Beatbreaker a tool to you, or is she more than that? A friend, a business partner, a lover? Beatbreaker's eyes watch my own. Well, what is it? Friend, I say without hesitation. Mangus grins. Really? He leans in close and lowers his voice. You're lying. I'm not! Anyone can say that someone's their friend, but words are nothing. Actions are what counts. But don't worry, I'll give you a chance to prove you're telling the truth. Mangus steps away from the gurney, uses his magic to grab Beatbreaker and yank her into the air. She struggles, but a blast of magic immobilizes her. You've spent your whole life trying to become an alicorn, but it seems you shoved away anyone who might care about you. It's time for you to decide what you truly want in life. On one hoof, you have your horn, the wings, and your dream. On the other, you have Beatbreaker. So often we want it all, but sometimes we have to make a choice. Oh no, please no! Mangus grins. I'm trying to give you a choice, Silverspeak. You're gonna have to choose between your dreams and Beatbreaker. No, I... Choose your dreams, and I'll spare your horn and wings. But in return, I'll take Beatbreaker's life. Beatbreaker's eyes widened, and she tried to scream, but the magic field kept her silent. But on the other hoof, if you choose Beatbreaker, I'll take your horn, but spare both your lives. You'll still go to prison, but haven't proven that you care more about Beatbreaker. She may be there for you when you get out. No guarantees, but at least you won't be alone. You can't do this! I stammered. What kind of pony are you, Silverspeak? What's more important to you, your dreams or Beatbreaker's life? Mangus grins. Choose. I can't think, and my mind is blank as I stare straight before me. I can't make up my mind. I can't do this. I can't choose. I can't let Beatbreaker die, even after everything she's done. She did it only to save my life. If she dies, her frightened face will haunt my dreams forever, but I'll have my horn and my wings. I can use and honor her sacrifice, help others, defeat any threats our lands face. By sacrificing one life, I could use my power to help thousands later on. I won't wait forever, Mangus says. I turn my gaze away from Beatbreaker. Let's just say if I choose my dreams, Mangus won't kill her, then rip off my horn anyways. But that can't be. He's not the type to just end somebody's life. His grin said otherwise. Time's running out. I weigh my options, trying to guess what Mangus might do. But Beatbreaker's eyes grabbed my attention. They focused on me, pleading, begging for me to save her. Their eyes of a living being with hopes and dreams like me. I can't let those be extinguished, but what about my hopes and dreams? When will I get another chance to get a horn, to cast magic, to make a difference? Is it not better to live hard and die young, doing what you love, than choose a long and toilsome life as a nobody, knowing that you gave up your chance for happiness? A scalpel is magically picked up. Beatbreaker thrashes so hard, she momentarily breaks free, forcing Mangus to focus and immobilize her again. My dream, my very reason for living, I just can't give it up. I can't just throw it all away, not after all this. How many poets can say that they achieved everything they ever wanted to? I can, and if that dream is to be bought through a cost of one life. Mangus smiles. Time's up, what is it going to be? I look at Beatbreaker, then Mangus. I need more time. I try to speak, but the words die in my throat. I just can't get them out. Mangus chuckles. Very well, your dream then. He turns to Beatbreaker. She struggles, trying to scream, and I wanted to call out, to beg her for forgiveness. But finally, she managed to move her mouth and let out an ear-piercing scream, and all time seems to stop. I didn't know if it's some sort of chemical, or if fear and desire is forcing my thought into some sort of hyper mode, but I can see everything with perfect clarity. Beatbreaker and Mangus are not quite frozen, but move so slowly I can see blood pulsing through Beatbreaker's veins. I can see the surgical unit behind them. Individual raindrops falling from the hole in the ceiling, one falling onto the tip of the scalpel. I see Mangus's discarded bags in the corner, along with my own. One is open for being tossed to the floor, spilling my things. And along with the books, meager food supplies, and clothes is little Celestia. I stare at her. Celestia, what would she do if she was in my position? What would her choice be if she was forced to choose in between sacrificing someone she loved or keeping her power? But what if it wasn't just a loved one, if she is forced to choose between herself and Canterlot's, or Manhattan, or all of Equestria? Would she be willing to give up everything she had for everyone else? I tried to convince myself I didn't know the answer, but deep down, I knew Celestia would never deliberately let someone die. That's not what she stands for, especially though she wanted to save her friends. Friends. It'd be one thing if it was a random pony before me, but the life that dangled above the floor was someone who gave me a chance to get everything I ever wanted. But not only that, she believed in me and liked me for who I was. The horn wouldn't give me happiness, she would. The wings wouldn't comfort me or be there when I needed help. And it felt good to be needed, to help Beatbreaker achieve her own dreams as well. She helped me, and I helped her. Beatbreaker's my friend, the first real friend I ever had. And if things went further, if we got into a relationship like she always wanted to, we could possibly spend the rest of our lives together. Beatbreaker, she made me happy. The horn and the wings, they haven't. Mangus chuckles as tears stream down Beatbreaker's face and drip to the floor. Guess you were nothing to him after all. He yanks your head back and swings the scalpel. Wait! The tip of the blade stops just short of cutting into flesh. Mangus turns to me, angry at being interrupted. My horn, take it. Mangus stares at me. What? My horn, take it, leave her alone. For a long moment, Mangus didn't speak. He didn't expect this, and can't seem to make up his mind whether to be surprised, disappointed, or both. You're serious? He asked at last. You're willing to sacrifice everything for her? I looked to Beatbreaker, gazing into her eyes. Yes. Beatbreaker stares back, as shocked as Mangus. Well, this is a surprise, but a deal's a deal. Both the scalpel and Beatbreaker fell to the floor. But saving her life is gonna cost you, Mangus says as he jumps onto the gurney, his arm glowing. And it's going to hurt. I feel an incredible force grab my horn like a vice and start pulling it. It's slow, but it begins to build. It'll only take a few seconds before the skin and nerves begin to tear, and bone will break away. But the realization gave me clarity, and the clarity cut through my grogginess. And I realized that Beatbreaker is the only one who managed to recover from the tranquilizer. With all the speed I can muster, I fire off a blast at Mangus. At such a close range, he can't dodge it, and cries out as he's blasted off the gurney and into the surgical units. I struggled against the straps, praying that Mangus had been knocked out. If he was, he'll be the one turned out to the police, not me. But that hope is dashed as Mangus rises, now resembling an enraged bull. Oh Buck, oh Buck! You miserable little maggot! Mangus storms towards me, his horn glowing once again. Forget your horn, I'll take your head as well. Before he can do anything, Beatbreaker tackles Mangus to the ground. Any effects of the tranquilizer are gone as she beats on him with everything she's got, hitting Mangus again and again, yelling curses in her native tongue. But it's not enough. Without a word, Mangus blasts Beatbreaker against the wall. She collapses, tries to get back up, but Mangus is there in a heartbeat. He rears back and smashes his hoof on her leg. Bones break with a sickening crunch. And smacks down on her other leg with the same results. Beatbreaker screams. I shout as Mangus kicks Beatbreaker to the floor, where she cries out and lands on her broken legs. I strain against the straps with everything I have as Mangus storms towards her, a blood rage filling his eyes. Boss, we've got more horns for you on the roof. The radio interrupts Mangus. He stops, considering whether he wants to continue beating on Beatbreaker, or to head to the roof. After a moment, he apparently decides that the horns take precedence, and turns away from Beatbreaker, only to spin and give a fast kick to her guts, knocking the wind out of her. Fuming, Mangus turns away and lights up his horn. Additional magic shoots into the buckles of my straps and tightens them down even further. I'll deal with the both of you when I get back. Then, without another word, he blasts the door apart and leaves. Beatbreaker's agonized sobs fill the air as I fought against my binding, straining my muscles to the limit. Beatbreaker, hold on! But my efforts just aren't enough. These straps are too strong, and I can't even. Stomach goes flying as the gurney tilts, then crashes to the floor before I even shout out. I spin, trying to see if Mangus decided to come back and knock me over just for the heck of it. But it wasn't him. The CEO crawls away from the gurney's legs, and fumbles with the buckles. Failing to undo them, he grabs the scalpel and slices them away. When my front legs are freed, I join him, and together we manage to tear the straps away. Falling off the gurney, I leap up and run to Beatbreaker, and almost vomit as seeing the spiked bone shards pressing up underneath her skin. If her legs move too quickly, they'll tear through. Yet, Beatbreaker didn't seem to notice them as she's going into shock. "Hang on, Beatbreaker," I say, heart hammering. I spin and trying to figure out what to do. I have to help her. There has to be something around her I can use. "There's no time for surgery," the CEO says, trying to catch his breath. "You have to get her to a hospital before she bleeds out." I shake my head. In her condition, she won't make it. The closest hospital is several blocks away, and Beatbreaker's legs would wobble and flap on the flight over, no matter how steady I am. The bones might have shattered some veins in her legs, the CEO says, grabbing a syringe off a nearby shelf. "We'll have to get her medical care immediately." He wobbles to Beatbreaker and injects her with whatever's in the syringe. "This will kill the pain." Beatbreaker's body relaxes and she slumps to the ground. The CEO then turns the syringe on himself, but not before looking Beatbreaker's legs over, spotting several dark splotches that weren't there minutes ago. "Hurry, we can't risk her bleeding to death." I wish there was more we could do, but with my limited skill in healing, I didn't dare try to treat Beatbreaker in fear of making things worse, trusting that the CEO knows what he's talking about. I carefully scoop Beatbreaker into my legs and hold her tightly, trying to keep her legs still. And all the while, Beatbreaker remains silent, the shock keeping her mute. The CEO presses his hoof to the hole in his skull, trying to slow the bleeding. "You need to go. If Maggie decides to come back here, we'll be sitting ducks." "What about you?" "I'll be fine." He grabs the first aid kit from the wall and heads towards the officers. "When Beatbreaker is safe, have the hospital come over as quickly as they can." I stop towards the doors, then stop. I can't waste any time, but it doesn't feel right to leave my former boss here alone, and in case I didn't see him again, I can't leave without speaking my mind. "Sir?" The CEO turns to me. "I never wanted any of this to happen. I never wanted to hurt anyone." The CEO eyes me for a moment. "What's done is done. Now go. Hurry." With that, I run from the room, leaving the CEO to tend to the fallen officers. I paused upon entering the main hallway, trying to adjust for the lack of lights. A lightning flash momentarily lighting my way, accompanied by a crack of thunder. A cold wind blows from somewhere nearby. Fearing that Mangus blew his own way out of the building, I ran towards the wind, dodging the dozens of officers sprawled on the floor. Turning a corner, I found an enormous hole that grants passage to the outside, wind blasting me along with a torrent of freezing rain. The storm has already arrived over Manhattan, and drenches the city in a downpour heavier than anything I've ever seen. Without hesitating, I spread my wings and leaped into the storm, veering away from the Metacomp Tower. Shivering, I blinked and cleared the water from my eyes. The lights of the hospital shine in the distance, and I fly towards it as fast as I can, trying to keep Beatbreaker steady. She shivers in my arms, but doesn't say anything, still lost in her drug-induced stupor. If I hadn't spoken, she'd be dead right now. I shoved that thought aside and flew faster. Finally reaching the hospital several minutes later, I land in the main entrance and kick the doors open. The inside is empty, aside from a few ponies waiting for news of their loved ones deeper inside the building. I raced past them, reaching the front desk. A nurse looked up, no doubt used to seeing breathless ponies running up for help. "Please, I need help. My friend, she has 2 broken legs." The nurse takes one look at Beatbreaker, realizes how serious the situation is, and she presses a button, paging for doctors and nurses. But when she hangs up, she gets a closer look at my face, realizes who I am, and she lunges for the panic button. Please, I'm just here for her." I lift Beatbreaker up. "I don't want to hurt you or anyone else, I just want to get her treated." The nurse hesitates, her hoof hovering over the button. "If you're gonna press that, please wait until she's safe." The nurse wavers a moment longer, then pulls her hoof back. A pair of doors open, a doctor and a pair of nurses run out, a gurney between them. When they reach me, I lay Beatbreaker down and step back, leaving her in the care of trained professionals who knew what they were doing. I keep my gaze on Beatbreaker's face as long as I can, watching as she's wheeled back through the doors. Then they closed and she was gone. I turned to the nurse. Can you please send several ambulances to the Medicop Tower? There are wounded officers who need help. I leave, not wanting to attract any more attention. Heading outside, I shiver from the cold, but ignore it as I fly to the closest rooftop. While she's in trained hooves, I couldn't leave without making sure that Beatbreaker gets treated. Problem is, all the windows on the first floor have curtains drawn across them. So I fly to another rooftop near the second floor, hoping to catch a glimpse of her. It wasn't until I reached the 5th floor that I finally see Beatbreaker being wheeled into her room. From there, doctors and nurses gather gauze and what looks like a bucket of plaster. But just as the nurses go to work, the doctors close the door. Sighing, I almost collapse with relief. If something happens to me, at least Beatbreaker is safe. I've done everything I could for her. Her fate now lies in the hooves of those more qualified to help her than myself. Turning away, I drop down into an alley and out of sight. With Beatbreaker taken care of, I have to figure out my next move. I have been given a second chance to enact my plan of flying to Canterlot, and I'd be a fool not to take it. With the storm coming down this hard, everyone would flee indoors, clearing the way for me to flee to the mainland. Flying back up to a rooftop, I look around to orient myself. I need to head west. There it is. I can faintly see the lights of the Manhattan Bridge far in the distance. That's where I need to go. I spread my wings and ready myself for takeoff. I really shouldn't be leaving without any supplies, but I'll just have to improvise. But even with my plan before me, and with no one in sight, I can't make myself move. I know Beatbreaker is safe, and there's not much more I can do for her now. But I found myself wanting to stand guard and make sure she's safe. After everything I've done to her, I have a lot to make up for. Watching over her like a guardian angel would be a good first step. The storm's not scheduled to let up for several days. Maybe I can delay my flight for a few. My thoughts were interrupted by a bright flash. I instinctively turn away as a thunderous roar echoes through the air, like a hellish machine coming to life. Turning back, I watch as an enormous pillar of red energy shoots into the sky, blossoming like a flower as it spreads out into a massive dome.
What in the world?
Wait, I recognize that spell. I once read about it when the Changelings invaded Canterlot decades ago. Princess Celestia erected a force field around the city to protect it. This looks like the exact same thing, but I have an awful feeling it isn't being used for the greater good. The rain stops falling as the barrier passes overhead, then arcs downward. From the rooftop, I watch it as it crosses over Manhattan's bridges and slams into the ocean. And from the looks of things, it appeared to completely encase Manhattan. By now, ponies came out from the nearby buildings to look up at the sky, confused as to what was going on. If you ask friends and family, there's been an attack on the city. Some wonder there's been an outbreak of a disease. I know the city's under quarantine. Nobody noticed me, even the ponies that poked their heads out of the nearby buildings. Everyone's focus was on the dome. A few ponies take to the skies, heading out towards the edges of the dome, no doubt hoping to find a way out. It's the logical thing to do, and I wonder if I should join them, because I just realized that my route out of the city had been cut off. The confused talking and uncertainty was interrupted by distant screams. Everyone freezes, unsure of what's going on. Wait, to set up a dome large enough to encircle Manhattan would require incredible amounts of magical power. Only the most highly trained unicorns can unleash something like that, or someone who could force it through brute force. And plenty of magic. Oh no. The screams get louder and the skyline is lit up by a distant explosion. Dozens of forms come towards the hospital and everyone's tense, ready to run. but the forms shoot past the hospital. The Pegasus ponies flying away from the explosions as fast as they can. I can barely make out their faces, but all of them are terrified. Another explosion, and a distant building wobbles, then vanishes, replaced by a billowing cloud of smoke and ash. A third explosion lights up the skyline, revealing it's near the Metacomp Tower. And in an instant, I realized what was going on. More ponies flee from the Metacomp Tower, both from the sky and now on the streets. A few Pegasi ponies barely aloft, relying on support of others to keep going. Some missing legs and wings, screaming in agony. Oh Celestia, oh no. More ponies flee as police fly overhead, the only ones heading towards the explosions, along with several members from the Equestrian army from the division that was stationed in the city. Probably searching for me, they've been no doubt rerouted to deal with the bigger threats. They reached the area of the explosion in record time, and I can just faintly see magical blasts hurling back and forth between them and their unseen opponents. But all too soon, the police and soldiers vanish, and their blasts stop, when legs shake. Hundreds of ponies fleeing to the hospital, and hundreds more shooting past it, trying to get as far away from the chaos as possible. And I start after them, and let the police and army handle this. What could I possibly do to stop this? More soldiers fly overhead, dozens and dozens of them heading towards Metacomp Tower with all the speed they can muster. Dozens more run down the streets, their horns at the ready. But even as they get closer, I hear the sounds of battle increasing, along with the screams. But this time there's a new sound. Laughter. Cold, cruel laughter. I keep flying. If anyone noticed, the Manhattan's most wanted fugitive was along with them. They didn't show it. They're all running and flying for their lives. But I'm the only one that knows what's coming. Mangus and his guards are gonna take everyone and everything near the tower. And it wouldn't stop there. He'll start spreading, taking the city, one street, one block at a time, eliminating everyone in his way. And if he keeps taking horns and performing that ritual, eventually nothing will be able to stop him. Sooner or later, Manhattan will fall, and it's all my fault. I fly on, trying to figure out where I can hide. Where I can stay the longest. The deepest, darkest depths of the sewers probably. That'll be the last place Mangus will go. But even then, he'll no doubt find it eventually. And when he does, I'll be the last one he takes, laughing and mocking me as he rips my horn away. And when life ends, I'll die knowing that I could have stopped him if I had acted quickly enough, before it became too powerful. I stopped, hovering in midair as other ponies shoot past me, fleeing from the chaos, my chaos. I created this, my dreams have turned out to be a nightmare, and I bring everyone down with it. First my parents, then Metacomp, then Beatbreaker. And now this. If my actions led to Mangus becoming a monster, then that burden lies upon me. If he's going after the horns of other ponies, or worse, then that too lies upon me, and me alone. If I run, I may escape Mangus for a time, but he'll keep coming, he won't stop. I look towards the Metacomp Tower. There's a chance that Mangus will be overwhelmed by the police and the army, but they don't know what they're going up against, but I do. This is my fault, but I can't run away. Only a coward would run away. Celestia wouldn't. When the changelings came, she stood and fought, even if she was overwhelmed. And when other threats came to Equestria in the years after, she always fought to save her subjects, no matter how badly the odds were stacked against her. All these ponies will eventually fall to Mangus. I can't let that happen, and I won't. No more running, no more blaming others, no more trying to hide. It's time to make things right. Every instinct yells at me to run as I turn around. My heart pounds as I start towards the tower, slowly at first. Then faster and faster still, until I was racing towards Metacomp as fast as I can, crossing the last blocks between me and the tower. It wasn't long before the screams assailed my ears. My heart was pounding out of control, and I wanted to turn around and run. But I focused everything on what lies before me. No matter what happens, and no matter the cost, I'm gonna stop Maze Bluehorn. It's time for this nightmare to end, once and for all.